Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And the title of this lesson, Lord willing, will be we're going into the next phase, okay, and looking at the different world events that are happening right now, and sort of categorizing them on a high level. You can see how on each front things are moving into another, kicking into another gear, so to speak, right? So mainly you have with these protests, right? There's like no kings protests, which once again, if you go and read about the history of Rome, you'll see the parallel. All right, that's how Rome ended up starting as a kingdom and then ended up transitioning into a republic and then eventually into a empire. And what happened to Julius Caesar, right? Julius Caesar ended up getting assassinated because of him becoming making himself a dictator. And now there's you got people that are at these protests, right, and coming out openly and pretty much saying it, right, out of their own mouths, right, that this guy Trump is pretty much a dictator, right, and that's where things are headed. I saw a clip this morning. I was trying to find it, but I couldn't really find it on here. But you had the actor for the Hulk, right? The in the Avengers movies, the actor for Bruce Banner, I should say. He was basically at one of those protests, and he was mentioning how, like, when you have certain, like, was it senators being tackled and forcefully taken out of press conference rooms and so on, that is like dictator behavior, basically, right? So now you're having this like no kings riot, these protests and so on, and this guy Trump is not backing down. Okay, he's not stepping back. He's not having a change of heart, and I think we're really going to start to see that Isaiah 19, why it was mentioned that the Lord will give the Egyptians into the hand of a cruel Lord. All right, we're gonna really start to see that as he's gonna get more and more into character, right, with this power and role ultimately that he has to play to fulfill prophecy. So this ice and this whole ice with the things they're doing, it's showing you that this is where we're headed towards. Next stop, martial law, right? Don't be surprised. All it takes is a couple of events or even just one to push it there. Anyway, so on that front, you have things escalating where it's becoming more of a this is what I say and that's what goes, and you can try to um, come against it all you want. At best, you'll probably get a civil divide or a civil war. But this is that ruling with an iron fist. At least that's where it's headed towards, right? So now you're gonna really see that that dragon come out of them, which is in reference to Revelation, the 13th chapter. And then on the next front, you have here, which I have a video here low, and I'll play it. But I want to make mention of a few things first. So on the next front, you have here the war, right, that's going on between Israel and Iran, and how quickly it's escalating. Right now, we understand, according to the timeline of prophecy, that there are still things that need to take place before this, goes fully into that nuclear destruction, right? Now, when it comes to wars, wars are variable times, right? They sometimes wars take months, sometimes they take years. We don't know how long the Lord is going to have this go. But what we see here is by this escalating into the next phase, we're seeing that the Lord is basically drawing the lines between these different nations, right? Now he's making it very clear. Now it's no longer going to be, the Russia and Iran look like they're on good terms, or China, looks like they're good. No, now it's going to be very apparent that, hey, if you guys are not careful, we're letting you know right now, these are the lines that are drawn in the sand, right? These are the alliances that have basically been formed. So you can see, all right, it's Russia is a guard, right? You're gonna start to see that why it's written that Russia is going to be a guard onto these nations. That includes Iran and Turkey and so on and so forth, right? So you can almost look at this escalation as like setting of the pieces in place. So once, as these prophecies are basically racing with each other, right? Once the Lord is like, all right, let's kick it, into the another gear, things are already set up, right? It's already known, it's already shown that, hey, this is basically the direction that things are headed in. Now, does that mean that this back and forth with Israel has to stop before that can take place? Who knows, right? It could keep on going while these other prophecies are also unfolding. And as a matter of fact, it could even interweave into it, right? It could be that through this back and forth, that creates scenarios and situations that make it more suitable for things like the MOTB or you know martial law or whatever the case is over there. Now we know also, according to the prophecy in Joel, the second chapter, that you're going to have a mass deployment of U.S. troops over there to that region, right? The Lord mentioned he would remove the northern army far from you, right? So there are a lot of things that we're seeing. The Lord is ramping it up, right? No longer is it being afar off, right? It's getting closer and closer and closer, and we can see, that we're really in the time of prophecy. Okay, and prophecy speaks louder than anything else. So let me play this real quick. Actually, before that, I also had this headline here, and that's mainly what I'm I'm gonna be doing, right? Going through most of these headlines so you get the gist of it, because like I mentioned before, nowadays there's so much information coming out that you gotta do like batch orders, so to speak. So it says here, Trump hints at possible U.S. entry into war amid stepped up Israeli daytime attacks on Tehran. Now, what this is a rumor. Okay, this is a part of the rumors of war, right? Where you'll hear one side say this, one side say that. They're escalating. People are like, oh, this could lead to this could lead to that, and then you see words like this, right? Trump hints at possible U.S. entry into the war, right? These are all leading into, I mean, these are all rumors of wars that, of course, eventually will manifest into the, there's no longer going to be rumors, right? Soon it's going to be reality. But everything has its time and place. Just know that this is the direction that it's going in. This is what's going to happen, right? And this is not a surprise because we've been warning about this for years. But now people are going to start to see, just like when the CV, right? The CV came about, everybody stopped because it stopped everything. And that was the main news that everybody was looking at. Well, guess what? Now, when it comes to this is going to be the main news that everybody's looking at. This is going to come to the forefront. No longer are people going to be able to walk around and ignore prophecy because it's going to be right in front of their face, affecting their actual lives. When your gas prices start to go up, when the products that you order that you're wondering why and how am I affected by this, that's when people are going to start being educated on why something happening all the way across the seas is affecting them here today. All right. So actually, let me read a little bit of this here. It says Trump hints at possible U.S. entry into war amid stepped up Israeli daytime attacks on Tehran. Now, Israel wants the U.S. involved. Like they're pretty much like begging the U.S. to like join at this point. Um, but it says here, after Saturday, reports widely said that Israel requested direct U.S. military assistance in attacking Iranian nuclear sites. President Trump, in fresh comments to ABC News, has begun to change the White House tune a little, as he now says it's possible the U.S. could get involved in the Israel-Iran conflict. And they will, right? But at the right time. Okay. He told ABC's Rachel Scott that it's possible we could get involved. However, he emphasized that the U.S. military is not at this moment involved in the conflict. He pivoted to calling for peaceful resolution saying the US would be open to Russian President Vladimir Putin being a mediator in. Here's the thing though, right? We know that the Russians are not going to be, they're not going to come in here ultimately, right? The role that they're going to play is not that of peace. The scriptures tell you in Ezekiel 38 that an evil thought is going to come into their mind, right? And then they're going to say, we're going to go to the land of unwalled villages, right? Which is here in America. Now, them being introduced into this conflict as peacemakers is really just a way of introduction. And that's usually how it goes, right? Let me give you a visual for this. Imagine you have you have two people that are fighting, right? Two people that are going at it. And you have somebody that's walking by. Now, this person could just ignore it and then end up having nothing to do with it. Or they could come in there and try to break up the fight and bring peace. If they decide to come in there, they're already now involved, regardless of what their motive is or their intention is. They're now involved. So say they go in there to try and break it up, and one of them punches this peacemaker in the face, right? Now all of a sudden you've gone from peacemaker to a third party inside of this fight, because now you're hurt and you're mad, yeah, and you're like, I'm trying to break this up, and you just punch me in the face. The hell you think this is, you know? And then now it's deeper. Now to give it a even more um, um, more realistic example compared to this scenario, imagine there were two people fighting. One of them is already trying to claim that they're a peacemaker, even though they're really on the side of one of the fighters, and they call you to come up in there and say, "Hey, can you try and calm this down?" And as you trying to calm it down, one of the fighters punches you, and this guy who called you to come mediate is like, "Whoa, you better not hit him back." Now it's a whole another escalation. So the point here is they could call Russia. They could say, come up in here. The US could say, we'll get involved as peacemakers. But whenever you have two sides involved like this, two opposing sides, the US is not neutral. We know what side they're on. All it takes is just a severe, back and forth, escalate to a certain level, and then they're gonna try and jump in there, right? But as I mentioned, um, yeah, as I mentioned, right, the Lord is using this to set up, the next events to come. Okay. So yeah, let's take a look at this.
Iran and Israel carry out strikes on each other. Civilians are being urged to seek shelter, with the Iranian government using mosques, metro stations, schools, and other buildings. Iran's government currently limits access to the country for journalists, but the BBC's Persian service provides news to Iranian audiences in Farsi. Farham Gobadi is a senior reporter at BBC Persian, and earlier he updated me on what people in Iran are telling him.
Many people who've texted me in the past 24 hours, they were complaining about that our voices are not heard. People don't know what we are going through. For example, one of the things that Iranian people are extremely worried about is what the Israeli defense minister has said recently after the last night barrage of missiles that Iran shot at Israel, and at least 8 people, Israelis, were killed. Iranian defense minister said that residents of Tehran will pay the price for that, and soon they will pay the price for that. Right after that, there was a report by Jerusalem Post saying that they expect that Israel will ask certain neighborhoods in Tehran to evacuate. And things like that has worried a lot of, especially residents of Tehran, because they are saying that we are not the ones who are shooting missiles at you. Many of us are oppressed by this regime as well. And now we are the ones who are paying the price for that. So there are several things that they're worried about. One thing is that overnight they cannot sleep. They've got sleepless nights because of attacks that are taking place across from Tehran and other cities. We at BBC Persian received videos last night that Fordo, one of the important nuclear sites, was attacked. Iranian officials are saying that Natanz, the other side near Isfahan, was attacked again, and anti-air defense system was activated over there. But residents of Tehran, many of them are fleeing the capital city. However, The roads are blocked. Some of them, they run out of fuel because they get stuck in the traffic jam for so many hours. So they cannot even manage to leave the city. So what people are concerned right now is to stockpile food and find a way to escape to Iran.
We know, don't we, that there has been unrest between the people and the Iranian regime over the last few years. Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, has been talking about the fact that, the people aren't with the regime. Do you get that sense that this might unite the Iranian people? Are we able to get any of that sense?
I get your point, because usually when at a time of war there is this rally around the flag effect. However, it's, I think, too early to see that. What I see and when you talk to people, they just are saying that they're in a state of panic, they're in a state of shock. So to expect Iranians to go on the streets and protest right now, I don't know how realistic that is.
That was Param Gabadi from BBC Persian speaking to me a little earlier. And just to let you know, on the BBC News Live page, there are lots more reports from people inside Iran and the effects of the strikes on them. Do stay with us.
So the interesting thing with all this is that we pay attention, right? We're watching, we're constantly looking and seeing, measuring the times, right, as the scriptures say. And the reason is because we know ahead of time what it's going to lead to, right? We know how impactful this is going to be very soon. But there are people who think that it's just something happening in a remote area that has nothing to do with them and will have nothing to do with them. That's over there. Let them deal with that. Over here, you got to worry about your job. You got to worry about school. You got to worry about bills, right? You got to worry about that drama that, your baby mama's giving you. Like, these are the things people are worried about here. You're concerned about the lives of other people, right? Streamers, influencers, social media people, right? So they don't really, majority of people are looking at this like, oh, like it's just like another situation going on over there in the East. They always have conflicts and wars, but they don't understand the difference between the players involved here at this time and what that means for the future, right? And that's okay, because very soon they will understand that. See, and very soon when you watch these news clips, they're gonna be speaking with a bit more fear, right, in their voice, in their tone, as they start to realize or grasp the reality of the situation. Now, the next category, right, we've discussed the dictatorship, the wars, and the next one is the technology, right? We're still on this. If you take a look around, there's still this fast moving technological advancements, which is going beyond just artificial intelligence. Like I mentioned before, you have artificial embodiment, which is the merging of robots, right? Physical humanoid looking robots, humanoid meaning it's human like, and the brain of artificial intelligence. So allowing the artificial intelligence or the AI to be able to control the physical parts of the robot, and therefore have it operate more human-like. Okay. This was a little clip that I saw here. Apparently in Walmart, they have these
first of its kind
robot.
He just sized that guy up.
These are remote controlled, by the way, though.
Just keeping Walmart safe. The streets of Walmart are rough. Cat got your tongue?
Oh, what'd you say?
What's your name?
We don't have a name yet.
Yo, Walmart has got a security that's a robot. Whoa. This is the first of it.
Right now, this is just for surveillance. And this is just like, when you see these things, always keep in mind, it's not about this exactly that you're seeing. It's about what it means. Okay. If this is the direction they're headed in, this isn't what's going to affect you. It's what comes after that's going to affect you, right? It's when you go from seeing this to seeing this.
Strange sight on the streets of Austin. Maybe you spotted this today on social media or in person. A robot wearing a cowboy hat, walking alone on South Congress. We reached out to APD and the city to see if they knew anything about this, but it's still unclear tonight who the robot belongs to and why it was out there walking all by itself. If any of you at home know, let us know. Give us a call or just email us at news@kvu.com.
So he had his he had his sneakers on and everything,
Person.
right? And when just not too long ago, you had this guy Sam Altman basically say that, right? Like, it isn't until you're walking down the street and a robot walks past you that then you realize, oh shoot, this is where we're at with it. This is one thing, right? The real, once again, it's not about what you see, but it's about what it means. What comes after? You see this rigid motion.
A robot
Let me
wearing
hold it quick. You can easily tell, yeah, this is a robot. That's not the problem per se, right? Because this, you're like, oh, I can knock it over. It looks fragile. I can knock it over and it'll probably get broken or something like that. The real problem comes when if you look at like Boston Dynamics and even some of these Chinese companies, what they're working on is designing a robot that can have the appearance of a human, but can move in a fluid way. It can jump, it can punch, it can kick, it can fall, it can run. And it moves more fluid like. So that's what they're working on. And then they wrap it up nicely in human-like silicone or skin-like material. And when you walk past a robot or an android that you can't tell is a robot, that's where the real problem comes in, right? When they send in the first responders to a violent situation and it's not a human being, and the way you find out is you try to punch this guy in the face and your hand is broken, and then you realize, oh shoot, this is not a human being. Or a criminal shoots at it and the bullets, you see some Terminator type shit. That's when you start realizing, all right, they got a real problem on your hands. Okay, so the like I said, is moving into the next phase on many different fronts, and eventually all this is gonna converge, right? It's no longer going to be like separate issues. It's all going to converge because it's part of prophecy. Now, this is the book of Ezekiel, the 12th chapter, verse 23. It says, "Tell them, therefore, thus saith the Lord God, I will make this proverb to cease, that they shall no more use it as a proverb in Israel. But say unto them, the days are at hand, and the effect of every vision." And that proverb is, as it's reiterated in the latter verses, that the visions are for some time in the future, right? It's not something we got to worry about now. It's not going to happen anytime soon, if it even will happen. And this is what the Lord has to say about that. And we're seeing the effect of every vision as it comes into full effect. Verse 24, "For there shall be no more any vain vision, nor flattering divination within the house of Israel. For I am the Lord Yahweh, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass." So you want to know how we know all these things are going to happen? Because the Lord spoke it. And we know his words are going to come to pass. "It shall be no more prolonged, for in your days, O rebellious house, will I say the word and will perform it, saith the Lord Yahweh." Oh, and there's quite a lot of words the Lord has said concerning our time now. and he is performing it. The fact that we're out here prophesying right now is an example of the Lord performing his word. And what that also means is the other words that he has pronounced will be performed. Verse 26, "Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, behold, they of the house of Israel say, the vision that he seeth is for many days to come, and he prophesieth of the times that are far off. Therefore say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, there shall none of my words be prolonged any more, but the word which I have spoken shall be done, saith the Lord God." Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to mention, just came to mind. There we go. Stay in the Spirit 144. Right. So the elder did this video. There it is. Red alert. Prophesying will soon be criminalized in NYC. And this is based on this video here. So I recommend you go and watch it. But it says here, NYC Mayor Eric Adams signs executive order to adopt the controversial IHRA working definition of anti-Sem. And when you watch the video, you pretty much hear that it's going to it's going to make it subjectively impossible at some point to push this word, right? Because they are, what does the scripture say? They make a man an offender for a word, and they abhor him that speaketh uprightly. They're basically gonna try to pull the what they did to Daniel on us, to where they're gonna try to make it impossible for you to teach this word, because it's somebody is gonna say, oh, this is according to the working definition of anti-Sem. What you're teaching is anti-Sem. Okay, so it's only a matter of time before that famine of the word also kicks in. And as all these things, like I said, look like they're happening on individual fronts, they're all related, and they're all going to come into effect. So, stay alert, stay in the spirit, and, stay praying, right? Pray to the Lord, because, the closer we get, the more turbulence, right, we're gonna start to see. So anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, this was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Until next time, Shalom.